All right, welcome back. It's time to begin the show in earnest. As usual, we start off with the look at the headlines, of course, and it's a Monday. We have leadership and communication strategist, Dotun or John, right here. Good morning. I hope you had a great weekend.
Fantastic.
And you're ready to go this week.
Yeah.
Okay, super. Okay, let's begin with the punch. Metele base attack, pro-military budget now. Groups, opposition parties tell Buhari president meets service chiefs over killings. Of course, SERAP and other civil society groups have been calling for a look at the military budget since 1999 till date.
But I tell you that government will be selective in the choice of what to probe. Because over time, at least I can remember, since 1999, the practice has always been when the people in government want to steal money, they put the money under security budget. Because you do not get to probe it.
Yes.
Over time, this is what we've had. Now,
nobody gives account of
nobody
security
gives
votes.
account. Even the governors that take the security vote, what many people don't get to know is that the security vote of the governor is even different from the security budget of the state.
That's it.
So you don't give account for perhaps the budget of the state. You don't give account for your own personal vote. So that has been the practice over the years.
It's even more troubling when soldiers, who are put in the line of fire now have to go as far as actually, demonstrating and protesting the quality of arms and ammunition that they have.
You don't want to know what...
It's a new law for Nigerian military.
You don't want to know what these guys are going through. Apart from the fact that the government is not even providing what these guys need to fight. The fact is that they don't have a reason to die for the nation because of their welfare, their personal welfare. You see, well, I get so passionate about some of these things because I'm a direct victim. There's never been any crisis in Nigeria today that I will not lose somebody that is even close to me as a friend or as a family member. So I know what these people are going through, and it's something that I do not like to always talk about.
Well, let's hope the meeting with service chiefs will actually yield some results. People are already calling for the sack of the service chiefs, and that's a call that's been going on for a while now, even before now. All right, Atiku will carry out responsibilities with dignity. That's former President Olusegun Obasanjo speaking there. Why do you have your... I mean...
you know, sometimes you ask yourself this question, at this point in time, can we actually believe the former president? Can we actually take him for his word?
Why is there any reason not to?
I don't know. Because if yesterday you come out to say this man is not supposed to be, cannot be trusted with power. And today because you want to align, you are now saying, oh, I actually believe in this person. Then you are getting people like us who are straightforward-minded people. You are getting us confused.
Maybe he's seeing things he didn't see before.
Perhaps.
Qualities he didn't see
perhaps.
before.
If you work with a man for 8 years, and a better part of the 8 years, you use it to, there was one quarrel or the other. I am not saying that Atiku is a devil, because I will not come out to say that Obasanjo is also a saint. Sure, you understand. Okay. But again, we need to be very careful when we are talking. Do not talk based on the circumstance. Talk based on your conviction. If you are convinced about,
it doesn't matter how many years down the line you will still stand by your word. Okay, fresh trouble for Nigeria as oil price plunges. Okay, now visa-seeking Nigerian students lament sad experiences at U.S. Embassy. I mean, this is really troubling. You know, the reason why some of us would never, almost, okay, let me not say never, since we're talking about, be careful what you say, would almost not want to go to any embassy, especially the U.S. Embassy.
Now
Nigerians really go through, I mean, some most undignifying, experiences, just looking for... I read the story of a young man who actually went on a fast for 5 days.
The young man may
before
not be
going
totally,
to the embassy.
May not be totally, the story, I read the story, may not be totally different from mine. I made a decision some years back that I will never visit the U.S. except if I have an invite from the government of the U.S. And what happened? I paid for my course. Run into hundreds of thousands, made everything available, the papers were available, I had a fantastic job. So there was no reason why you would turn me down. And I got there, you tear one paper for me, you say I should go.
Well, we're told some of these embassies actually make as much as 50 million naira a day from Nigerians seeking.
And do you know the annoying part? When I now got to, when I was reading through the paper, they now say you don't have the right to appeal this, but you can actually reapply. I said reapply for what? So I rather focus on other areas. No, I'm not Atiku, but I will rather focus on other areas. I will not go to the US.
All right.
Yes.
There you go. License not to go to the US then. Never again will Nigeria be governed by opportunists. So Shomole saying gang rapes 13-year-old virgin while unconscious. This is a really terrible one. Police parade 33 IPOB members over inspectors killing. Okay, to the nation now. Naira stable despite campaign spendings. Okay, these are the two conflicting things we're reading now from both papers. Okay. All right, so what they're saying is, for those who are suspecting that the governing administration may be dipping its hands in the national till to fund the campaigns, they may not be entirely true, because you know what? The Naira is stable.
You see, we have not, at least the people around me, you know, I told you of a person that has, anytime he's going out, he can decide to wear uniform of PDP. The next day can decide to wear APC. So I see him
somebody calls it any government in power.
I have not seen him. He has not started spending campaign money, government money. So in the recent sense of it, the campaign money has not started.
He's watching where
campaign
the wind.
money has not started coming out.
Okay.
You will see after December. It is then we will test the true integrity of this government, whether they will be able to. Whether they will be able to overcome the normalcy that we see with people in government.
The
because
abnormal
normalcy that we see in government. Because when you are in government, you have to dip your hands. That's why also it's also very, very important for them to probe the security budget.
Okay.
If they probe it now, we will know that these people are not ready to spend the security budget on election.
Okay.
Yeah.
Moving on, Oshomole, Obasanjo planning to rule by proxy. Era of do-or-die politics gone, says APC chair, and Nigerians won't go back. That's all right. Buhari, Gowon, Kumuyi, council on challenges. Gunmen kill medical doctor and wife. That one really troubling. I read that yesterday.
Yeah, you know the level of insecurity now, apart from even because
it's almost like a daily occurrence. I wonder how, you know, it's like the shock value is actually lost on us. These things don't even shock us anymore. Is that what it is?
The level we are in now is, I think everything is almost permissible. Because when you commit a crime, when somebody commits a crime, and you don't get to arrest the person, if you do arrest the person, we don't know we only hear of the beginning of the process.
Then the next person is encouraged to go, you know, to commit, even worse. All right, Air Force strikes insurgents. Army shifts talks to Borno. All right, 23 billion naira bribe. EFCC clears 15 INEC officials. Nigerian equities lose 204 trillion naira. Is that 204 or 2.4? No, 2.4. 2.04 trillion. Lagos Airport not under attack, says FAN Air Force. Did you see that video that went somewhat viral?
Yeah.
That was a bit troubling. But you know, the person who sent it to me, I just responded. I said, look, this is not real. Maybe it's a Nollywood, some kind of Nollywood movie or something. But thank God they're clarifying
the social media has made lies marketable and truth unbelievable. Sometimes when you have
it just means that those who should be putting out the truth there are not doing their job.
Of course.
Yeah, and nature, like they say, abhors vacuum.
Of course.
Yeah.
And because the government has not really perhaps known what to do about managing the social, the internet space, it's also a problem.
Yeah, to the point now. How I survived OBJ Atiku face-off, Bolade Oshinowo, unpleasant things that happened in the villa. 4 reasons Atiku will perform better than Buhari. All right, let's leave that one. NSC, 7 firms report 60.74 billion naira return on equity. Delta 2019, Ogboru's secret meetings with Delta North leaders unsettle PDP. Okay, I guess Ogboru is with APC now, right?
And
he's been gunning for Delta governorship for a long time. Whether he'll get it anytime soon remains to be
PDP
seen.
came out, was it last week, to say, oh, this man, you are just wasting your money. But like I said the other time, you cannot tell. Because at every point in time, we have the same kind of promise, we have the same kind of people. So the people can just get tired of any government and go the other way.
Yeah, well. To the New Telegraph, PDP governors, leaders work for Buhari's re-election. APC, let me read that again. PDP governors, leaders work for Buhari's re-election. Does it come as a surprise?
Not totally. Not totally. There were a number of people in PDP who actually worked against the party. The same way we are having now. It's repeating itself now. Because there are so many people in APC who are, in my state, I'm from Ondo State. What the people did was they moved from APC. They are still card-carrying members of APC. But what they did strategically, because Abuja did not favor the governor and some of his men, so they moved from APC to AA. Maybe they will win election under the platform of AA and now return to APC. So these are some of the things that has been happening. A lot of them are just not happy with what's going on in the party.
You know, I'm curious that you actually use the word move. I was listening to or read a piece, an interview with Godswill Akpabio, former minority leader. It's former, right?
Yeah.
You know, in the Senate, where he was actually clarifying that, look, I did not defect from the PDP to the APC. I only moved.
I moved.
And I'm like, what does it mean? Well, I mean, what's the difference between defecting and moving? So now that you use that word, you know, about people who moved from the APC
defecting really may actually involve change of ideology.
Okay.
Movement may not. You are just carrying this ideology to this political party. So you just moved. You just moved there. So a lot of them moved from APC to AA with the hope that maybe if they win election under AA, they will still go back to APC. And there are a lot of them that, because they know they may not even have the financial capacity to rise to power, they will just remain in the party.
So when there is no change in ideology, and then you move from A to B, I wonder what would be the, guiding force or reason behind moving or defecting from one party to the other, if it's not
change of ideology.
Change of ideology.
No, it's just...
Or you believe that this other party represents more than what I stand for.
No, it's just...
What exactly is playing out
movement
there?
is just, let me go there and get political power. That it is almost very certain at this other side of the divide.
And who doesn't want to be on the side of the winning team?
Of course, everybody wants to be.
Okay. Only... I almost spoke Yoruba.
Oh yeah, let me hear.
Poverty is an orphan, but success has many brothers.
Many.
Yeah, that could apply in this case. All right, banks jittery as MTN and others veer into mobile banking. This really is an interesting innovation, disruptive innovation, if you like.
Yes.
Yeah, from the, telecoms companies. And what will happen really to banks if the MTN and the other ones actually go into mobile banking?
You see, my only fear about that is that some of our neighbors, our friends, or family members are going to lose their jobs in the bank. That's just my only fear. If not, see, you can entice the people to always want to bank with you if you do things right. I've always said this on set that the banks we have in Nigeria now are taking Nigerians for granted.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
the telcos are not taking Nigerians for granted.
Everybody is doing that. Fortunately, unfortunately for them.
Because of failure on the part of the regulator.
Fortunately, unfortunately for them, we still have a number of bankable citizens that as we speak now, a number of people in my village don't even have bank account. So
and they don't believe in putting their money in bank.
So they don't believe in putting their money there. So if you come out with destructive service, and I mean service that will challenge the status quo, that will encourage the people, you are going to get money. But we are used to the same old system and we want to get a fantastic result. We are not going to get to that point. If not because we are afraid of insecurity here and there. People like you and I, we don't have a reason to keep our money in the bank. Because why will I keep my money in the bank? You promised me interest in the first place.
Where would I rather put my money if I didn't?
I'll put it under my pillow because it's not down.
You know what? You're not going to get any interest if you put your money
Of course, I put my money repeatedly in bank savings account and I'm not getting interest. I put it in current account. They charge me for my check.
It makes no difference.
I go there to get loan. I cannot get. So tell me one reason why I have to. You send me a message on my birthday. You remove my money. Tell me one reason. It's because of this.
Speaking of not even giving you money for, starting off a business or something. I mean, the governor of the CBN, Metele, has been crying out to the banks that, look, you have so much money lying fallow, in your vaults, and you're not using it to drive SMEs. And this government has been crying about diversifying the economy and all of that. And it almost like it's just Lip service.
No, the CBN is the one
On the side of everybody
on
involved.
the side of everybody, because the fear has always been, or the practice. Let me talk about the practice and the fear. The practice is, once I get money from the poor people, I give it to the high and mighty in the society who are into established business, because we are almost certain that if you start a new business, that the situation around the country will not allow it to survive. So that is the fear. The concern of the bank, that if I give it to Mama Joke by the roadside, who is just beginning a business, there's a possibility that the business will not survive the next 6 months. Why? Because he has to buy fuel to power his generator. He has to do this and that. So that fear is there. Now, the government, before the government will come out, before the CBN will come out and encourage banks to do that, they must create an enabling environment. Enabling environment in form of power. Then again, there are specialized banks here and there. How accessible are they to the people? We have Bank of Agri, we have BOI. Thank God for BOI. Bank of Industry has been doing well in the last year, fantastically well. BOI.
Yes.
But what about other sectors? And I feel that it's time in Nigeria that we have innovative bank. It's time in Nigeria that we have youth development bank.
Sector-specific banks.
Bank. Youth development bank. All you need to do is to write a proposal, come present it. This is the proposal, state by state. Then they fund your idea. They don't give you direct money. They monitor it over time. These are some of the things that's going to grow our economy.
You know, what you just said now just reminds me of a group of, young university undergraduates, Unilag actually. It was a report that we did some 2 years or so ago. And this young man had actually, created the motor car. And they're so confident that in 10 years, as at that time, that in 10 years, they would have actually come up with an electric car. And I'm wondering, nobody's even looking at those kids. Nobody is saying, look, you come forward. I mean, you guys are really creative and innovative. What can we do to help you in such a way that you become an innocent? Now that we even talk about that one, mentioning innocent, he's already in trouble. Yeah.
you see, the former special advisor to former President Olusegun Obasanjo is from Ondo town, in Ondo State. Now, when they were building this prepaid meter, we went, is it to China or one country? First, we went there to import before we had local people producing. And I was asking myself, we have some students in FUTA who would design this thing, make it fantastic, to make it work. They are
locally produced, manufactured prepaid meters all around, just lying fallow.
It just started after we went to China to get the first batch. So we can continue to talk as a people, but do we believe in ourselves as a people? We do not.
We don't. That seems to be where the problem lies. We don't believe in ourselves enough as a people. NAF bombs Boko Haram's location. Convoys, President, service chiefs meet over killing of soldiers. Let's even dwell a bit on this Metele killing. Over about 200 soldiers have been killed since July alone of this year.
That's the figure you have.
That's the figure. Yet the unfortunate thing now is the Nigerian military is really not coming out to say this is a number of soldiers that have been killed.
No, they will
but
not come
even
out
if
to
they
say
do,
that.
will that give any comfort? Will it give confidence to Nigerians at all with all that's going on now? And don't forget, Transparency International has been coming down hard on both government and, of course, the military, talking about how they have decimated the Boko Haram, reduced drastically their ability to cause havoc in the northeast and all of that. And that doesn't seem to gel with what is going on, with what is being reported on a daily basis.
Any nation that plays insincere politics with security or insecurity, we always have an issue like this. And that's it. See, that Boko Haram came and bombed a particular community, key soldier, it's not something that PDP should rejoice or talk about.
You shouldn't politicize it.
You should not talk about it. You should not politicize it. It should not be something that APC will now come out and say, we have won. No, the fight against terror.
We're fighting against a common enemy. It's a common enemy that we're fighting.
We have to unite, and it's a fight of consistency, not a fight of deadline, not a fight to win political gain. It's something that we need to do as a people. So, military, globally, are not bound to come out to say this is the number of people that were killed. But again, how do you give confidence to people that are fighting? You made mention of it the other time. The first thing is welfare. Am I going to be eating this kind of beans that my people are eating in the war front? I call it war front. The kind of waterlogged beans that they eat. And I'm going to go out there to face the insurgent? The answer is no. Even in some cases, the military guys, we have to sell information so that they can take care of themselves, and that's why there are ambush here and there.
Yeah.
So again, it's not about the fact that maybe Boko Haram is that powerful. No. We have tested our military men.
TI report, I'm trying to recall the phrase, the exact phrase they used, but something along the lines of corruption, massive corruption in the defense sector, that something has to be done seriously. It must be investigated with independent investigators to actually, come up with the facts and the truth about what has been spent in defense since 1999.
I have said it repeatedly that the problem we have with the military, the police, and every other unit of our security agency is not with the gun-carrying members of the force. It has always been with the money-carrying members, those who make the budget, those who transact business, those who buy some of this ammunition. That's where the problem is.
Yeah, and there's still other stories, begging for attention from the New Telegraph. 33 IPOB members to be arraigned for murder and terrorism. That's according to the police. Go on. Nigeria needs prayers more than ever. Is it just prayers that we need, or do we need action? As important as prayers are, isn't it time for us to really get to it?
Somebody said prayer is not in the equation of success. It's not in the equation of success. It's always in the equation of perhaps inspiration and revelation. And if you have, no matter the level of your revelation,
and it has nothing to do with religion.
No, it doesn't have. If you have a revelation and you do not run with it, it's not going to produce
when
results.
You say revelation, the first thing that comes to mind is, okay, it has religious connotations.
Okay, let's use inspiration then. If you have inspiration and you are not running with it, it's going to end up as frustration.
Yeah.
Because any kind of inspiration without action will lead automatically to, and that's the stage we are in. Nigerians, the government, and the people, we seem to know what to do. But the problem is that we have never backed what we know with action.
With action.
Action.
Absolutely. There's something at the bottom column here, a bit troubling. Traumatic childhood raises risk of psychotic experiences. Don't forget, there have been all kinds of reports saying that about, what was the percentage? About 40% of Nigerians actually have one mental challenge or illness or the other.
Or the other. It's troubling. I've not gone.
And the foundation may have been laid in childhood.
Yes, I've not gone for
that a lot of people don't pay any attention to.
I've not gone for checkup, but I discovered that I often forget people's name. That could be a mental issue. So when people say you have a mental issue,
they think it's the
no coin.
It's not the coin.
It could be a combination of some of these things, but we need to pay attention to them.
And it's a very serious issue, really. That there has to be government action on it. Daily Trust is my last paper this morning. Absence of 30 commissioners grounds activities at RMAFC. That's the Revenue Mobilization Allocation and Fiscal Commission. Okay, so 30 commissioners absent there. Well, maybe they don't have what it takes to defend.
No, I think their tenures expired and they've not been replaced. I think
okay.
That's the story. But again, I'm alarmed that one agency of government will have up to more than 30 commissioners on the board. I don't know how they do that. Perhaps it's state by state. I don't know. I would not want to talk about.
All right, Obasanjo, Jonathan, others honor Atiku, as the 7th Waziri Adamawa.
Yes. From Turakin to Waziri. I think
Adamawa.
It's the second, it's like the prime minister of the kingdom. It's a very good one for him. And I hope that's
maybe it's a foretaste of things to come in 2019.
Maybe that's going to boost his chances too.
And boost his confidence
but
and all that.
To an average person in the east or the southwest, I don't know whether they know the relevance and the importance of that. Maybe within the community and the enclave of people there. Maybe it's going to boost his chances.
Okay, Boko Haram, Buhari holds emergency meeting with service chiefs. Okay, that meeting comes up, I think today or so.
I think it happened yesterday.
Of course, he held a meeting yesterday. The meeting continues. Oh, it's the ASU one that actually is going to hold today. But we're actually going to talk about this. I think we should. We'll brush it and see exactly what is going to come out that discussion. But in the meantime, let me just quickly read through this one. NCAA cautions pilots, airline operators against weather. I fed 252,000 pupils with 10 billion naira. That's Aregbesola, the governor, outgoing governor of Osun State, Ogbeni Rauf Aregbesola. Of course,
how much?
10 billion.
10 billion.
Yeah, for 252,000 pupils. We've heard that the school feeding program really has done a lot for, school enrollment in Osun State. And don't forget, it's very, very interesting when you hear from the NBS, the National Bureau of Statistics, that Osun State actually has the lowest number of poor people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was almost contesting it the other time until somebody actually brought the fact. It's a good one.
Yeah.
But again, like I said, the incoming governor should not contest with Aregbesola's achievement in the area of infrastructure. What Aregbesola did was massive when it comes to, have you seen, there's one road in Osun they call Onobaba. It's massive. That's the father of all roads. But again, I expect the incoming government to actually pay more attention to people's welfare, because either we like it or not, I do not want a situation where we have issues with salary again. As a result, Osun State will not have had any issue paying anybody, if not for the level of development, which for me is also going to open up the state.
Oh, absolutely.
So you understand. So I need the new government to focus more.
If you go
on
to
the
Oshogbo,
welfare
you actually get a sense that yes, there is governance going on in this place, and not just in Oshogbo, in Ede, or other parts of Osun State.
I know you've seen
I've had the opportunity.
Oh,
beautiful, really, really nice. I mean, some people would even tell you far better than many public schools that you'd find in places like Lagos, Port Harcourt, and other cities where you want to compare.
You mean public universities?
Public.
Okay.
Secondary schools and primary schools. He's done quite a lot, and I'm wondering what you mean when you say that. The incoming governor, should not contest.
Yes.
What do you mean by that?
I just want him to concentrate on.
You think that Ogbeni Aregbesola has laid the foundation for him to build on? No, right?
What I mean is, I want him. Don't say.
Or shouldn't be under pressure.
Don't say because, for example, don't say because Aregbesola has constructed 1,000 kilometers of road that you want to make 1,200
or 2,000 for that matter.
Just concentrate on the welfare of the people and let them enjoy the infrastructure. Yeah.
All right, I'm sure they're listening. Of course, we're having the governor this morning on the show, and Mike and Azizat are already on the ground, and they're going to be taking him up on quite a lot, especially as he, as the 8 years round up. Okay, Dr. John, thank you very much for coming on the show. But let me keep you, let's talk about this Metele base attack. I mean, we cannot just brush it aside because it's something that is truly, truly troubling, not only to the Nigerian community, but, to the, international community as well, who are wondering exactly what is going on. Why in the midst of, while the government says, look, we have pushed back to a very, very, comfortable level, the Boko Haram and insurgency in the northeast and all of that, and you have this consistent, persistent attacks on military bases. Why are the military bases so vulnerable?
You don't need no one to tell you that if you push some set of people back who have a mission, a desperate and definite mission, you don't expect that they are going to sleep. They will naturally, it's a natural this thing that they will fight back. And that's exactly what has happened. And that was why I was cautioning the other time that it is not yet time to celebrate. Because these people are not going to just go back and relax and not launch any attack. And this is the result. This is the result of the fact that we think, we are confident that we have won them. It is not a fight of, oh, we have won.
So it's not a case of it's the last kicks of a dying horse, like we've heard from the authorities.
I know one or two nations of the world, countries of the world today. When I was a child, I've been hearing about terror attack on the 1 o'clock radio news, and up to now, we still hear about it. It shows that an ideology is not something that you're going to kill overnight, because they have many advantages. Number one is the advantage of population. They can easily recruit from people. So it's not an ideology, and they continue to
especially when the people are idle hands, people who don't feel that there's anything to live for anyway.
And if you do not have anything to live for, you'll be ready to die for anything. And that's exactly what has happened. So they have army of unemployed people to recruit from. They have army of people who have mistaken religion for a cause to kill or get killed. And the National Orientation Agency seems to be finding it difficult to actually come to the other side and say religion is not something to fight and die for. So we have these people to recruit from. So these people actually have advantages. There's this advantage of poverty. People who will call you to their side and say, we will give you a cup of tea. And these are the people who don't know where their next meal is coming from. So these are some of the advantages. And it's not something that you're going to root out overnight. It is very easy for us to say we have defeated Boko Haram when it comes to gun battle and duel. But again, what are we doing with the ideology? So reorientation, the people is part of it. Building more schools and getting in people that are on the street, get them to get educated. Not just education. I mean deliberate education. Not just deliberate education.
To suit their environment and their needs.
And their needs. Not just coming to school to know A to Z. I told somebody
that you're not able to use in the real world anyway.
So the real kind of education is not the education that will teach you how to read and write alone. Because if at the end of the day, if everything you learn in school is how to read and write, you are worse than an illiterate. So it is how to translate what you know to get what you need. What you know in the sense that, these people are not
when
telling
education
you the truth.
gives you that critical thinking ability.
To say, then you are liberated.
Yes.
You are liberated. Not that when I die, some numbers of virgins are waiting for me at the other side. No, there's no marriage in heaven. There's no marriage in heaven.
At least to be able to actually say, look, how does anybody tell me that, if I kill myself, alongside others, that there's this. Okay, let's even look at the multinational joint task force. The 5 nations: Niger, Cameroon, Nigeria, Chad. What's the other one? There's a fifth one. Yeah. How much impact really? You're already shaking your head. How much impact has this had in the war against, insurgency and terrorism?
I think before you have a successful meeting that will translate to action, there must be seriousness on the part of every stakeholder. In the first place, I doubt whether, because the effect this thing is having on Nigeria may not be the same effect it's having in Niger, Cameroon, or Chad, or the other people. And do we have the resources? If Nigeria has, how much money are the other people ready to commit to this? Because at the end of the day, it is commitment. It's a fight of commitment. What they've done over time, including kidnapping people, when they kidnap people from Nigeria, they take them to some of these other countries. So we must first purchase the commitment of everybody that is involved in it, so that we know that at the end of the day, if we are able to chase these people out of Nigeria, there's a possibility that they will come to your own country. So when these people are aware that when we chase these people out of Nigeria, they will come, then they will sit tight. So first, on our own part, we need to show a lot of commitment and seriousness. Empower our boys to be able to flush them out in the real sense of it.
Giving it everything it takes without...
We have the power of the hand. We have it. That's the ability. But I doubt whether we have the capacity. Because capacity is beyond the power of the hand. It's also the availability of equipment and arms and ammunition. And the kind of motivation I receive as a person. Do I really want to wake up early in the morning with all readiness to die for my country?
And it's really scandalous, really, don't you think? I mean, for it to get to a point where soldiers actually protest and now put on display for the whole world to see the kind of low-grade military weaponry that they have to fight these insurgents that have sophisticated weapons and all of that. And in spite of that, I mean, there are reports that say that about 350 million small and light weapons actually in Nigeria, domiciled in Nigeria alone. That's about 75% or 70% of the total that you have in West Africa. Obviously, a huge chunk of this actually is in the hands of the insurgents, the terrorists. Totally. How much of it is even in the hands of, state actors, like the Nigerian military and all?
State actors.
Obviously, they don't even have...
Majority of these light weapons we're talking about are in the hands of insurgents, then perhaps the minor...
bandits,
the other one, bandits, headsmen, and we have politicians who have boys here and there. So these are the set of people that share the weapon. Now, the question is, if you are an expert, one of the things that Lagos did after Bola Ahmed Tinubu was the fact that he laid the foundation and somebody came after him,
Yes.
Fashola,
And
was
built on
able
it.
and built on it and was able to make some significant improvement on what he made, putting in laws that will support some of the actions of government that were not backed by laws before. There were some of the actions of government that were not backed. We just felt that these things are logical and they were doing it. But Fashola came and gave them some legal framework. Why? It's because he's a lawyer. He understands the workings of some of these things. Now, if we have a president who is a general, then it will be unfair at the end of his tenure, whether he spent 4 years or 8 years or any number of
To
years.
mark him very low on security.
On security. The first
Which
thing,
should have been his very strong point.
strong point. I think he should understand the problem we have is not the meetings in Abuja. We continue to do meetings in Abuja and give directive. But again, how much directive are being carried out by those people that are standing between the presidency and the guys on the war front? This is where we should look
Now,
into.
this meeting with the service chiefs didn't come until about 5 days after the event. I mean, almost a week after the killing of the soldiers.
You heard that the
and
president was shocked.
that in itself, you know, makes you question the level of response, the response time when this kind of an emergency situation happens. What is our attitude towards this kind of, you know, unfortunate incidents?
We are getting used
because
to
it's
it.
taking all of 5 days
We are getting
for the
used to
president
it.
to actually call the service chiefs to ask them what is going on. I need to get this action on this matter like yesterday.
Do they need to wait for the president to call them? In the first place, I'm expecting in a normal society, if you are the chief executive of a state, I think every morning you have security report as to what has happened and all that. You need to continue to seek
And the
audience
actions
with
that
Mr.
have been
President.
taken.
You understand?
Yeah.
And say this is it. But because I doubt whether they have done what the president asked them to do in the first place.
Does he get the security report on a daily basis?
Of course he will. You can't run a nation without it. But again, how much of information is actually contained in the report he gets? Then does it? I don't know the operation. I hope it will not get through one person called the chief of staff who has become very, very powerful. Even the state government. It frustrates me to know that I want to write a letter to a governor that the letter can be in the office of chief of staff for as many days forever. It frustrates me even as a person. It has happened to me on several occasions. So what I'm saying in essence is that if the president had given a directive, which I know, and there are a lot of budgetary provision here and there, if you had done according to what the president has said, then you will have the confidence to come and face the president and
Well,
tell him that
Nigerians
this
will
is
not
also
forget
what
in
needs
a
to be
hurry
done.
the incidents, in the cause of the Benue attacks that were really consistent and persistent, if you like. I mean, depends on which word you want to use now. Only for the president to go to Benue and was shocked that the IG of police was not on ground, based on his directive that he should be there to find out exactly, get to the root of the killings in Benue. But nobody has heard anything about that. Nothing has happened. A lot of people expected that, worst case scenario, he would actually fire his IG. But that did not happen.
You see, firing is not
Will not even solve the problem.
It's not the solution. The problem we have is that we do not have a system that can run itself. If you have a working system, if you come into a working system, you will be aligned. And
it would not matter who
you will be aligned naturally.
If
the level of your failure will not be so pronounced. Why? Because there are supporting systems. I don't want to mention the name of a country who has a lousy president today. That man will have gone.
Ensures,
yes, that man will have gone to the other side, extreme other side. But it's a system that guides him at every point. He can come out to talk loudly,
all kinds of things,
but he will not get to carry out that action. Why? Because it's a system. So what we are looking for in the military, in the police, is not whether they sack the IG. The IG is also constrained by the workings and the workability of a system. So it is.
Don't forget that the IG himself cried out too about the budget, for the police.
Of course.
He doesn't have what the budget
of course.
is
See,
required.
There's a particular budget that comes to perhaps the budget office of the presidency. And there's a particular budget that goes to the National Assembly. Then the problem is not even with the budgetary allocation. The problem is how much do they get at the end of the day.
Now, speaking of budgets, huge military budgets have yielded no fruits yet, say Transparency. Transparency International and CD.
Yes, budgetary allocation is different from
So
government
all we
provision.
have been budgeting for security, for defense, all of these years, and it actually takes a huge chunk of the national budget on a yearly basis.
That's why I started
has
from
not paid
the
off
fact
at
that
all.
budgetary allocation is different from actual government provision. The government can actually budget is an estimate. The government can actually say, oh, we are spending
400
million, and the military will not get up to 50 million. At the end of the day, even have you asked yourself, as a nation, I doubt whether there has ever been a time since 1999 that I've read over and over that we have 80% of the provision that we have in the budget, that we actually have the raw allocation. And in cases where we have the raw allocation, have we executed our budget to that level of 80, 60, 70%? That's a pass.
Yeah, but every now and again, you hear from the, the budget office, for example, that, in 2016, we achieved 40% of the budget, or 50%. But there seems to be no breakdown.
Yes,
or even
sectoral breakdown
as
to this,
exactly
what we've done.
What was budgeted for and what was released in terms of funds, and what was deployed to actually achieve
and I think that is why this call is necessary at this point in time. From 1999, let's know how much actually got to the military. Let us know how much was actually expended for the welfare of the military guys to purchase arms and ammunition, and how much was actually spent for what. Even if we cannot go back to 1999, even if it's from 2007, let's have an idea so that we can continue to move forward. Because, the only thing that has changed is government. The system has not changed. It is this system that...
And until we change the system.
Until we change the system, it's still the same system that swallows money. Once we make allocation for particular this thing, the system swallows it. And once it goes around to the pocket of the right people, you don't get to hear any kind of noise. And because it's security, you hardly hear of EFCC going to investigate anything, or ICPC, or anybody, or even the National Assembly. Everybody is quiet because at the end of the day, it gets to the right pause without getting to the right people. So until we have a system, we work on a deliberate system. And that, to work on a system, it requires the input of the leader, not by proxy. The system, to have a system in Nigeria today, the president will have, he will not send nobody. He must do it himself. He must look into it and know how much is going to each personnel, how much gets to them. Unfortunately, the complexity of the Nigerian nation is going to make that difficult. Really complex. That is why I am saying, to a certain extent, I don't have anything against anyone. I'm saying to a certain extent that we need people who can actually look into, who have the strength of the hand and the strength of the heart
with this security
to do some of these things.
Are there chances that it might affect the fortunes of this administration, considering the fact that security was one of the planks on which it carried out its 2015 campaign, and of course won the election in 2015? Is it likely to cost this government some?
Of course, it is costing government a lot, and even in followership and following. You see, majority of people who moved their support away from the president and his party, especially in the middle belt, it's not because of corruption or anti-corruption fight that is failing. It's not because of anything. It's simply because of insecurity. And the president or the presidency, what they should have done in the first place was to have been decisive. But you and I knew what happened, that when this thing started, they were not decisive enough. In fact, it was this particular issue of not being decisive that gave meanings to some of the actions of the president. That, this one is for one section of the society, this one is from one part of the society. That was what gave back to it. So if the government fails in the area of security and insecurity, it will have serious impact and effect on them. And it's also going to affect their popularity before this 2019 that we are looking at here. A lot can change within 2 days. 2 days is too much in politics. So don't think, I still have followership. Fantastic. Don't think I still have following.
You can't even afford to take that for granted now, can you?
Can change within...
Meanwhile, we hear from the defense minister that he'll actually be visiting Chad. Nigeria's defense minister, Brigadier General Mansour Dan Ali, will be visiting Chad. Of course, it has to do with this same security challenge in the northeast and the Lake Chad basin and all of that. Just based on what you said, I mean, how are you going to get those people on the same page in such a way that they're confident enough not only to contribute men, but actually to put their money where their mouth is?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it looks like Nigeria is the only one actually funding this multinational joint task force.
Even if we want to help them with funding, we have the capacity. Even if we want to help them with funding, they should help us with information. They should help us with trust. Let's be able to trust them. Not that at the end of the day, somebody will commit crime here, runs to this other country, and you do not get to hear because of religion. The major challenge we have in Africa is religion, and everything that has religious undertone will always be very, very difficult to defeat. So don't say because this person, I have feelings for him because he belongs to my religion, at the end of the day, I am going to shield him. No, you must be able, it's beyond money. Nigeria has been spending. It's for us to have the commitment of these people in other areas. Don't open your border for this miscreant to get into your country if we are firing them from here. Once they know that there are no escape routes here and there, these people will practically surrender. They'll practically surrender. So we are not even talking about money as we speak. We are talking about, can we trust some of these people? Are we not just paying lip service as to, oh, we are really against the insurgent without doing nothing? So that's more important.
So that might just be the missing link.
That's the major link that we need to establish. So apart from Chad, the government delegation needs to move from one country to the other to ensure that we are on the same page. Not that we want them to come. Many of these countries are relying on us for aid funds
for most everything. For most everything. Now let's even talk about our porous borders that seem to help. I mean, make it a lot very, very easy for these people to come in. Because at the end of the day, a lot of people, when this whole Boko Haram thing started, many Nigerians would ask you, are we sure these are Nigerians?
Yes.
That it's not possible that Nigerians are the ones actually carrying out these killings, these dastardly killings, without any kind of feelings whatsoever. No, I mean, it's like they've lost their humanity. Are these people Nigerians?
Now,
a question begging for answers.
Nigeria, we may not be able to secure our border with the current security forces that we have. If in the entire nation we are talking about how many police, about 300,000,
350
police,
and half of
them
that
are
number
guarding
private
you understand.
Individuals.
So if we cannot
companies.
secure our communities, then taking security to the border will be exceedingly difficult, if not practically impossible. So we have issues with even men.
Yeah, but every now and again, we've had security experts here on this seat who will tell you, look, it's not just about the number of boots you have on ground, that it is time for us to actually move in the way of technology. That technology will actually do the job. I mean, I'm reminded of the Adnan, I said Adnan, not Adnan, Jamal Khashoggi, the journalist that was brutally murdered, And because in Turkey, because of CCTV, almost on every street, almost every corner, they were able to piece it together. And they were able to give the world a true picture of exactly what happened.
Yeah, even if the other people are saying.
And now chances are that somebody is actually going to pay in terms of, get punished. It doesn't matter how much cover up that they try to do, but at least the facts have been put out there. How about Nigeria using this as a template?
It's still the same thing that we're talking about. If you do not use technology to secure your community, how will you use technology to secure your border?
There you go.
It's the same problem. I told you a story.
Okay, you know what? Let's put a break on it. Let's catch our breath. We'll take a short break, and when we come back, right after the news update, of course, we'll continue some more discussions, and please stand by. All right, you're welcome back. It's the Monday edition of TVC Breakfast. You might call it special. Yes, that's what it is. Well, I've been talking with leadership and communication consultant in the person of Dr. John Good morning once again.
Yeah.
Thanks for giving us all of your
good
time
to remain here.
this morning. You know, looking at different issues, of course, especially narrowing it down to the security challenge that Nigeria is facing, especially in the northeast, where insurgency is just not letting off at all. November 18, to be precise, Nigerian soldiers were in the line of fire. They became victims, you know, in a war that is expected to be pushed back by the same soldiers, insurgents killing dozens of them. The figures are still not clear right now. Dr. John, Obi Ezekwesili, one of the presidential candidates, you know, the leader of the Bring Back Our Girls campaign, has actually said that the government should actually publish a list of the victims, of the soldiers that were killed.
No, that's unnecessary and uncalled for. Military has a tradition and there's a global practice. I doubt whether the military group...
If it's a standard all over the world.
Yes, I doubt whether it will allow them to actually put their names on papers and all that. But we can actually honor them. And the first...
How do we honor them without knowing their names?
Of course, the military authorities know them.
They know them.
Yes. The first thing to do to honor them is to take care of their family. Because that has been an issue. That has been an issue.
Now, that in itself is a huge...
It's a huge problem.
Yeah.
So if, for example, if somebody works for a private establishment, I know one or two people who worked for private establishment, and they died in the course of service. Not that they even died in their office or they died while on duty. They were sick and they died. And the company paid as high as 25 million naira to the family. So if a
not
private...
that it will take care of anything, not that it will bring back, but it's a way of telling those people
that we appreciate what your family member has done.
Especially paying the supreme price with their lives.
So I think
and to encourage people who want to join the military or any of the security forces to do so, knowing that if they fall in the line of fire in the course of duty,
at least
their families will not
will not suffer unnecessarily. So I think the first thing to do while honoring them is actually to do that. Take care of their family. Because the problem we have, let me cite the example of what's going on in the police. Why we may not have the kind of police we desire is because of some of these things that we are talking about. Because if somebody dies in the Nigeria police, before you get the Nigeria Police Service Commission to pay the family, sometimes it's 3 years, sometimes it's 4 years, sometimes it's even 10 years.
And the speed with which the police would even evacuate the family of the slain policeman,
of course,
is always really troubling.
The next time, perhaps they will allocate your distance to another police officer.
Within a week in some cases. Yeah.
So I think the first way to honor them is to actually take care of the family. And the second way is to continue to fight this insurgent so that we tell them in the land of the dead that their death is not in vain. Because at the end of the day, if they die for nothing, it is nothing. But if we keep fighting and at the end of the day, as a nation, we can celebrate our triumph over them, then we are also honoring them. But all these things I'm talking about are easier said on television.
How do you even get the average Nigerian, whether it's a soldier or a policeman or an ordinary civil servant, to actually believe that Nigeria is worth dying for at the end of the day?
First is you have to have the workability of the nation has to be very obvious. Like everybody must know that, oh, this nation is working. And it has to start from somewhere. It can even start from what we are talking about. That if somebody dies in the course of duty or in the line of action, that you take care of them. It is when a nation attach value to the life of its citizens that the citizens will be ready to die for such a nation.
To give it everything. And then the word patriotism would actually
come
back to our lexicon. But let's look at a final one before we move on to other things now. The UN Security Agency actually about a year or so ago actually talked about the need for the Nigerian military to have a change in strategy. Because you know what? This is an asymmetric war, as it's been described, you know, in several fora. But that the problem is that the Nigerian military is still approaching this, you know, like conventional warfare.
You see, change of tactics will involve the use of technology. And you
Back
cannot
to the technology we talked about.
You cannot change tactics without synergy.
Yeah.
The Nigerian Army, for example, cannot say, I want to change tactics on my own without carrying the Air Force along. Unfortunately, this is quite unfortunate. There's no synergy. There's rather superiority contest of we are responsible and this set of people are responsible.
There seems to be no war room.
Yes, there's too much of rivalry.
Yeah.
And there's not how 21st century kind of art of war involves airstrike and all these things. There's not how you are going to win without a synergy between, let's say, the army and the Air Force. But once there's rivalry, once the other thinks I'm superior to the other, then there's going to be collapse of whatever strategy they have in place. So first is to know that we are fighting a common enemy. The second is for us to agree that whosoever wins, we all take the glory.
Yes.
And from there, we move on to the issue of synergy. Not that we will be thinking that, oh, military, what did we see on the page of newspaper today? We saw on the page of newspaper that Air Force bombed one community, community of insurgents.
NAF bombs Boko Haram's location.
It's necessary. Yeah. It is unnecessary to have NAF there. What we have is that the military has bombed it. Either it is the
or you say security forces.
Security forces. So that we have.
But when you say NAF, it's like somebody is
taking glory and is sitting and saying, oh, we have done it. You haven't done anything if they are still bombing. Either you belong to the army or you belong to the Air Force. You haven't done anything if Boko Harams are still killing people. Yeah. You haven't done anything if there are bomb blasts here and there. It doesn't matter what unit. At the end of the day, it is one common goal that we are looking for.
And if there's no synergy, we'll not be able to have success. That troops are finding it difficult to actually evacuate decomposing bodies of soldiers who were brutally killed on Sunday. Because in the course of trying to, evacuate the bodies, the insurgents come along and still attack
Of course.
them.
This is the importance.
How do you explain that?
This is the importance of surveillance and report and intelligence. You survey, for example, the military.
Does it lend credence that there is a possibility that there are fifth columnists within the military?
Of course.
Oh,
of course. That's as a result of many things. Number one is religion. There are still people in the military today, either you and I want to accept it or not, that hold firm the ideology of Boko Haramism. They hold it very firm and dearly. So until we have this settled, and there's also the concept of poverty. Yeah. Those people who know that they are going to have some gains if they surrender information and all this.
And poverty, Dr. John, is a very strong driving force that would make men do things ordinarily that they would not do.
Yes.
Poverty alongside drugs. Now, prescription drug abuse is growing in Lagos, and lawmakers in the State House of Assembly want government to increase its awareness programs